let's move on to our top loading sewing machine. You can see a lot of things are fairly similar. For example, in this machine, the way it's threaded, the buttons look slightly different. So let's have a look. In order to wind our bobbin, we have pretty much the same principle. This time we have a horizontal spool holder. So we're going to take our spool and pop it on there. And as the machine is sewing, with the tension on the thread, it might cause the spool to kind of get pulled out. So most of the time these machines will come with a little spool cap that will keep your spool in place. Put it on there, but don't put it on so tight that your spool can't move. Like this is perfect. Okay, so it's the same principle. Now this machine tells me to again go from the back to the front. Again, I will be putting my thread through the hole from the inside out, putting it on the bobbin spool, engaging the bobbin winding mechanism by pushing it over to the right. I pull out the hand wheel to disengage the needle, turn on the machine, and wind my bobbin. After I've got enough thread on my bobbin for what I need, I'm going to disengage it again, push the hand wheel in, and take the bobbin out. Okay, you can see that I still have a free arm, so I can still take this off to easily sew hems and sleeves. But this time, I'm going to drop my bobbin in from the top. I'm just going to loosen the plastic plate that sits on the top. There's a little button here that I'm just pushing to the side to do that. So I'm holding my bobbin spool in the right hand side. The thread goes over the top, I'm holding it in the left, and then I'm dropping in the bobbin into the bobbin case there. The next thing you want to do is just guide the thread through this little hook here. And again you're giving it just a slight tuck, and you can feel a little click and you can hear a little click. That just means it's in there nice and securely. Time to thread your machine. You are taking your thread, and again here I have arrows that will tell me how to put it. So for this one I'm going behind here, I'm going down, I'm going up, I'm going around from the right to the left, down again, and if you have a look here, I only have to put the thread behind this little extension there. Again, I want to lower the presser foot. It makes it just easier to put the thread in through the needle. And this machine, your machine might have this too, which makes life a little bit easier, has an automatic needle threader. So if you find that it's quite hard to see, or your thread is a little bit becomes unraveled and it's a little bit hard to put through, you can actually use this to really easily thread your needle. What you want to do, put your needle up in the highest position possible, and you're going to pull this all the way down. So there's a little white lever towards the left of your needle shank. This time you want to thread from the right to the left. There's a little hook here that you're going to put it under. And then there's also a little hook there in front of the needle. And just hold this not too tight, but just hold onto your top thread for the first little part as you're beginning to let this go up, and then let go of your thread, and it'll automatically pull your thread through from the front to the back. You don't have to use it, but it might make life a little bit easier for you. Lift up your presser foot lever, guide your thread through, and again I want to take up the bobbin thread to come up here, so they're both up on top of the needle plate. Again I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me for full circumference. So just as I do that, again you can watch here and see how the top thread takes up the bobbin thread, kind of winds around it, and then I'm giving it a little tuck. Pull it out with my handy thread clipper, and it's at the top. So now I'm ready to sew. I can put the little plastic lid back on. And having this plastic lid here also makes it really easy when you're sewing to see how much thread you've got left on your bobbin. Sometimes you might sew a seam and you think you've sewn it really beautifully, and then you realize that halfway through you actually ran out of bobbin thread and it doesn't actually stick together. So having this option there makes it really nice to have a bit more control over that. Okay, let's just have a look at the levers here. So where beforehand we had round dials, here we just got buttons that we can push from the left to the right. Again, it'll tell you there's the width, so the larger number, the wider the stitch will be. This will be important for stitches such as a zigzag stitch, for example. The wider it is, the wider the zigzag will be. Then we've got our length. So again, for our regular sewing, we might want to have it somewhere between 2–2.5. The thicker your fabric, the longer your length. The thinner or the more delicate your fabric, the shorter your stitch length. Okay, so on this one, I'm changing my stitches. There's a little wheel here that I can turn. And as I turn this, you can see how the red spot moves and shows me which stitch I'm using. So for basic sewing, for this one I want to use 7 or A, which is just the needle right in the middle. Okay, and this is it, so we can go and start sewing a basic seam.